We begin the news in West Africa, where the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have shed light on the lingering fuel scarcity in the nation, revealing that it could take up to 2 more weeks to fully resolve the issues. Speaking to journalists, the Public Relations Officer of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chief Chinedu Ukadike, attributed the scarcity to a combination of importation bottlenecks and delays in marketers' license renewals by the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Chief Ukadike lamented the lack of availability of petrol in country, citing logistics challenges and vessel problems as contributing factors. He revealed that out of 15,000 marketers, only 1,050 have had their licenses renewed, worsening the supply chain. According to Chief Ukadike, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, has assured improvement in the supply chain as their vessels are expected to arrive soon. However, he stressed that restoring normalcy may take time, as it typically requires 2 to 3 months once a 30-day supply sufficiency is disrupted. And to unpack this, I'm joined by President Ipman Alhaji Abubakar Megandi Garima. Good morning. Glad to have you join me.
Yeah, good morning, Abiola.
All right. I mean, over the past month now, we've seen slight increases in the price of PMS. What measures are being taken by Ipman to tackle this issue and also help to alleviate the impact of this shortage on Nigerians?
Well, immediately when we started seeing queues, we contacted the management of NNPC because they are the sole importer of this petroleum product. And we confirmed through them what is really going on. And they said they have some logistic problem, and which they have already overcome. So actually the loading has already commenced, and we have started loading the products, and we tell all our members, especially those in the cities, any independent petroleum marketer who loaded product, he makes sure that he discharges it inside his filling station and sell 24 hours. So this is part of the measures that we have started taking.
Aside these measures, you have taken, what other ways can Ipman collaborate with the Nigerian Midstream and also the Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to expedite the renewal process for marketers' licenses?
Yes, already I'm in contact with the Director of Operation, and I tell him he should quickly do as much as possible and make sure that all those marketers who collected their receipts, let them issue the license to them so that they will commence loading with immediate effect. Even though the NNPC retail, they didn't stop any marketer right now from loading, but they give us a deadline. So our marketers we tell all our marketers, for those who refuse to change their license, they should try and see that they change their license so that they will commence the loading.
Earlier, you talked about the issue of logistics, that they have logistics problem. I wish you could expatiate a bit more on that. But then, what is Ipman doing when it comes to collaborating with relevant authorities to help streamline these logistics problem and also address vessel problems to ensure smoother fuel supply operators in the future?
Well, normally, just like the way I've said, it's only NNPC is importing. So the logistic problem that they are talking about, one, they have to import this product since it's not being produced in the country. So they have to carry it through the mother bases when they buy it. Then they have to use daughter bases again to discharge the product to the various depots assigned. So I think it's part of their problem. Maybe they find some challenges there, even though they didn't disclose the challenges to us. All what they tell us, they have already finished the problem that they think they are facing. So, and we have seen a sign because we have started loading our product in the various depots of Nigeria.
So, looking ahead, what's the lessons learned? How best, would you be working? That's Ipman now. How best would you be working with stakeholders to take to enhance resilience of fuel supply, the supply chain, and also prevent these issues of disruptions we're having right now?
What I want to inform you, we two independent petroleum marketers, we are not happy whenever there is something like this nature because it really affects our business. But due to being a patriotic Nigerians, we have already told all our marketers to send their trucks to the various depots and start loading. So actually, we too, we are concerned about it, but there is nothing we can do since we independent petroleum marketers, we are not importing this PMS. It's only an NPC that is importing.
Well, hopefully we hope things would ease out and pan out like you have itemized. But thank you so much for your time on the news. IPMAN President Alhaji Abubakar Megandi Garima, thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
And now to politics. One of the campaign coordinators of the Ondo State Governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, Alaba Abe, has been assassinated. Abe, who served as ward coordinator for the Lucky Ayedatiwa campaign organization Foot Soldiers, was killed at his home in Saparu Akoko, southwest local government area of the state. The Director General, David Ajobiewe, who condemned the killing of Abe, stated that the deceased wasn't a violent person. He urged the police operatives to unravel the death of the late campaign coordinator. Confirming the incident, the State Police Public Relations Officer, Fomilayo Odunlami Omisoya, said an investigation is ongoing to unravel all that happened. And to dissect this, I'm joined by a public affairs analyst, Omogbolahon Babawale. Good morning, glad to have you join me.
Good morning, my sister Debola. How are you this morning?
I'm doing
fantastic.
And
how was the weekend?
Thank you for asking. Let me start by asking, how did you receive this news of the assassination of Alaba Abe, one of the campaign coordinator for Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa?
Well, it's really shocking that barely a month ago that we lost one of the gubernatorial aspirants, Dr. Paul Akin Yelure. And just 2 nights ago, another young guy was gunned down in a dastardly act. It's really shocking. It tells us that we are in a perilous time when we continue to now play politics with bitterness and what have you, make it do or die. Then nobody is safe. Although state has regularly been known to be peaceful in the last 7.5 years, especially when the former governor late Rotimi Akeredolu Akiti had sway. But in the last couple of weeks, the story has changed, and it's really worrisome that as we project into the election in November, we can experience things like this. It's really worrisome, and all stakeholders must come together and find a lasting solution to this issue.
Like you rightly mentioned, you talked about one of the APC governorship aspirants who passed on last month, and that's Paul Akintelure. And before his death, he raised concerns about direct and even indirect threats to his life. And now we have an assassination of one of the governor's campaign coordinator. What does this mean for politics in general in Ondo State?
Well, like I mentioned briefly a while ago, why our political class will continue to play politics of brigandage, politics of bitterness, politics of do or die, beats my imagination. Politics should be about service to the people. If you want to serve the people, you must be willing and you must pass through a democratic process. You must not force yourself on the people. And when you see people who take power by hook or by crook, of course, there are things that are concomitant with such action. You continue to see brigandage, you continue to see hooliganism, you continue to see insecurity around that environment. I just pray that in the next couple of weeks, these issues will be brought to fore and can be discussed, and we can move forward from here. But it's really saddening.
Speaking of politics should be about service to the people. How can we eradicate this do-or-die mentality when it comes to politics in Nigeria, in Ondo State, or even in Nigeria, at large?
I think essentially what is important is for us to demonetize, if I can use that word, to demonetize politics. You know, these politics of Ghana must go that we practice in Nigeria has not helped us. The average politician out there sees politics as a means to get rich. That's the honest truth. So, and they go all out, they do anything, everything nefarious, everything dastardly to find a way into power. So when we now incentivize politics, we attach less money to it. We make it less attractive. The craze for, I want to be this, I want to be that, you have to now go and kill your fellow human beings to achieve whatnot, will not be there. So we must lay emphasis on no money politics anymore in Nigeria. That is the only solution, because if you see a young boy of 18, 20 years wanting to be rich and want to go into politics. So because they believe the fastest means through which you can get money in Nigeria, if you are not stealing, is to go into politics. So we must lay emphasis on demonetizing political aspirations in the country. That's the only way.
When you talk about demonetize, de-incentivize, or make politics less attractive, what measures are you looking at? What in clear terms, are you talking about?
Yeah, for instance,
in 30 seconds, because of our time.
For instance, now, let's start from even the purchase of funds across political parties. When you are contesting as the House of Assembly member and you are spending hundreds of millions, or House of Representatives, you are spending hundreds of millions of naira to purchase the form. So of course, some of them you have to go borrowing, and the first thing they do when they get to power is also to recoup their money. So it's an investment to them. So the parties in the country must look inward and see how they want to see this, and reduce the emphasis on money politics. Then our political players must also be willing, must be patriotic enough to want to practice politics without bitterness, without money. So with those two things, I think we'll begin to see a turnaround in our political doings in the country.
Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Omogbola Babawale, thank you for joining me as well from Ondo State. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure too. Have a very wonderful day ahead.
Reactions have continued to trail the demolition of buildings in the right-of-way of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. The exercise was flagged off by the Minister of Works, David Umahi. The demolition exercise began at the Mani Chola Beach, Oniru waterfront on Saturday. The minister said compensation for owners of affected structures has been adequately factored into the project and urged those affected to see the greater good of the project. The demolition process is expected to continue for some days. And to talk more about this, we're joined by our correspondent, Lekon Onobanjo. Lekon, good morning. Glad to have you connect with me.
Adebola, good morning to you. Of course, it's nice to be here.
Yes, we understand demolition exercise commenced on Saturday. What's the updates?
So I'm right here where we stand at the Landmark Beach Resort. No demolition has commenced here as we know it, because we've actually scanned through from the Landmark Beach Resort, looking at the beachfront to my right here, up to the extreme end to my left, and we've not seen any sort of demolition whatsoever. But then what we understand right now is that we have site engineers who have been doing a mapping of the topography, and of course, and when you look around, you can see the engineers right there who are also doing as much as they can to map out the floors, or to map out the grounds and the areas that need to be sand filled. And when you look farther beyond, you can see that there's been a bit of sand filling into the sea further down there with the site engineers there. And I'd like my cameraman to just pan to where we have earth moving equipment. We have earth moving equipment right there, and you can see caterpillars that are also sand filling, and you can see also where we have iron beams already in place, and I believe these will be used for the structures. That's I'm looking at the talking about the Lagos Coastal Highway that will be done across this entire stretch. Yes, of course, we have engineers on site, and basically that is what has been going on this morning. And I must let you know that what we discovered is that there's only one structure. There's only one structure that we can identify as a shanty right there at the Landmark Beach Resort, and there are a few people who actually stay there. I want to believe that they are not really living there, but they actually work there. And that is the only structure that we can say is a shanty. And we are not too sure if that would have to give way by the time the demolition might, I'm using the word might, commence, because we are not too sure if that would eventually be done. Of course, we understand that the Minister of Works, that is David Umahi, has said that the landmark beach resort will not be affected by the time the demolition process will commence. But then we still have it on authority that this particular expanse of space on which this landmark resort situates might just have to give way. Interestingly, further down the left to where my cameraman is, further down the left, there's a business facility there. But we understand that that business facility will not be affected. All right, but then that is also along the coastal line that leads down to the Oniru waterfront, down to the Atlantic Center, right further down there. So when you look at the entire stretch of where we have the sand that is being filled, that is what we understand where it will culminate, or where the coastal line will birth. So basically, that's what we have, or we know as of now.
All right, Lekan Obanjo, thank you so much for that detailed report. We'll keep in touch with you to see how activities pan out. What a man can do, a woman can do even better. And this is an old saying that enjoys popularity within a segment of the society. But what is generally accepted is that women have continued to shatter the ceiling of cultural inhibition. And this is the story of the first female tricycle rider in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, northeast Nigeria. Our correspondent Umaru Kirawa tells us more.
A bustling street in Maiduguri, the capital city of Borno State in Nigeria. People are going about their daily activities and the atmosphere is lively. A glimpse of a young woman riding tricycle, maneuvering through the street with a crowd of curious onlookers left in amazement. My colleague and I took interest and had to follow her.
In fact, she made me impressed. Allah, Kai, she made me impressed. I was so excited. When I saw her standing bulunkutu, people were just watching her. And I said, my friend, let's encourage this lady. In fact, she impressed me a lot. It is very, very encouraging. I don't know, I'm so excited, wallahi.
Ta nuna mana mu nemi abin kanmu yana da kyau ba sai mun tsaya muna tinkaho da wayansu ba. So saboda haka gaskiya na yi murna sosai. Ko ki fito yar uwa ta jama'a su ganki. Oya ko ba.
It's an encouraging to many girls out there depending on boys using themselves. They are cheating them, but here is a lady encouraging many girls out there.
This is just a tip of the iceberg of what many residents in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, are saying with regard to the strange sight of a lady driving a tricycle. Follow me as we crisscross the capital city to find out more of the people's thoughts.
Gaskiya sai dai ta hakuri ba. Za ta ga kalubale kala. Za ta gani kawai abu fatan da ran mata kawai ta ci gaba da hakuri dai.
Ta wani wajen in ci gaba ne. Sannan kuma dan gaskiya ana shan wahalan nafe sosai. Don kuma in ka je post office bakin su university su ina da duk ana shan wahalan abun hawa.
Kudulan ma iso ke amma arewa ndo kan arma ci da la aula dunwa kalata nafe girjin holja ai ba wadu bana tana yi.
Ya kamata ita mace din ta dinga daukan mata yan uwanta, maza kuma su dinga daukan maza yan uwansu saboda ba abu bane a ce kasan musulunci mace tana suna shiga mashin da maza suna cunkusu.
Kama so ko har kasadin za pleza lasa salu chida sadin no walja allo karu kujo ba.
A mother to 4 children, Rita Onsu speaks about her inspiration.
You know the way our country is now, as a woman, for you to sit down and wait for your husband's salary or wait for your husband to provide all your needs is not encouraging. And what inspired me the most, because I can see here that our women, will I say, they are scared of coming out to hustle or to do something for themselves. So I'm doing this to call our women out You must not drive keke, you must not be a keke driver, but whatever you can do to help yourself, whatever you can do in your ability, whatever you can do, you know that your family will support you, your husband will support you, or whoever that will support you, and say, go ahead. Why not you come out and do it?
She speaks about her early experience riding the tricycle.
The first week I started this work, it was not easy for me. At times, if I come back from the work, all my body will be paining me. I will be crying. I cannot sit. All my waist will be paining me. And I asked myself, will I give up just because of this body pain? I said, no, I cannot give up now. It's too early to give up. So I continue. At least, I had up to 3 times accidents. You can see my leg here is one of the accidents I had driving this. So you see, it's not easy.
As she maneuvers through crowded streets, Rita is piercing through barriers and challenging traditional gender roles in male-dominated profession.
How I wish I can get support to encourage me, at least to tell me that's what I'm doing, that people love it, to encourage me, at least to help me do more. Borno is a very nice and cool and loving place you can be. Don't be scared. Come into Borno and enjoy with us. There is nothing to be scared of. The people here are loving, so there is nothing to be scared of in Borno. You can see if I'm a woman here driving keke napepe, you can see the place is so calm and peaceful.
This may just be an indication that most of the non-gender-based hindrances are as strong as the mind allows it to. A testament to the old saying that what a man can do, a woman can at least try. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Climate advocates have called for a collective effort to address the challenge of plastic pollution, which has continued to plague the world, posing threats to our waterways and marine life. They also called for the implementation of climate change laws in the country as part of efforts to protect for future generations. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has more.
Plastic pollution is becoming a global concern as over 10 million metric tons of plastic waste make their way into the ocean annually. This poses a significant threat to marine life and human health. In 2022 alone, the global production of plastics increased by about 1.6% from the previous year and have reached a staggering 400.3 million metric tons. The rate of production has continued to increase despite the growing awareness of the dangers plastic waste can cause.
I don't think we need to look far. We're already facing those dangers right now because climate change did not just creep up on us. Like in Nigeria, the heat wave we're experiencing now, this is not the first time we're experiencing a heat wave, but this is like the worst one we've had in years. Same with the flooding.
Without the earth, there's nowhere to run for election. Without the earth, there will be no place to run ideas or create innovations or even manufacture products and services.
To take action against the challenges threatening our environments, some climate advocates called for collective efforts to reduce plastic waste in order to protect the earth.
Whether you are a food vendor, whether you are a tech entrepreneur, whether you are a church, whether you are a mosque, whether you are a government or you are into manufacturing or pharmaceuticals, there must be a department or there must be an initiative in your organization that talks about climate.
We can use our voices to advocate for better choices and, cleanups, planting of trees, and just making sure that our daily actions add up together to make sure that this planet is protected and secure.
As the world marks the International Earth Day, countries around the world have been tasked to protect the earth and help mitigate the effects of climate change.
We need to start implementing some of these policies and say, look, we're reducing how you issue nylons out, start charging people for nylon so that people come with their shopping bags and they can buy their groceries and just bring their shopping bags for themselves.
The event also creates an opportunity for young people to engage and come up with innovative solutions aimed at helping create a world free from plastic waste. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
The news continues in West Africa, where Burkina Faso's military government has suspended several international news organizations, citing their reporting on the Human Rights Watch report accusing the army of civilian killings. The suspensions announced by the country's communications regulator The CSC targets major outlets like Le Monde in France, The Guardian in UK, Deutsche Welle in Germany, and TV5 Monde in France. Some suspensions are indefinite, while others have a 2-week time frame. This action follows a CS's earlier directive to internet providers to block access to BBC, VOA, and the HRW website within Burkina Faso. The HRW report details alleged army killings of over 223 civilians in February. When I head to Southern Africa, where Mkoto Wesizwe, a newly formed political party, has expelled its founder, Jabulani Khumalo. Khumalo is the founder, and MK party is registered with his name on behalf of former President Jacob Zuma. According to the party statement, external forces attempt to destabilize the MK party motivated its decision. Khumalo was expelled with 4 others. In a video circulating on social media, Khumalo insists he is still a part of the MK and has no idea about him being expelled. The MK party continues to find itself in many controversies and circumstances weeks before elections. South African cancer patients, activists together with health workers are set to take to the streets of Johannesburg demanding the Department of Health to spend 784 million rands set aside by Gauteng Treasury in March 2023 to outsource radiation oncology services for over 3,000 patients who are currently on the backlog list. The cancer crisis in Gauteng is driven by severe shortages of both operational radiation oncology equipment and staff within the public sector. This is particularly evident at Steve Biko Academic Hospital and Charlotte Maseke Johannesburg Academic Hospital, experiencing the most critical shortages. According to Cancer Alliance and Section 27, there have been patients waiting for radiation oncology services for over 2 years now, with some who have had repeated reoccurrences of their cancers as a result of not obtaining radiation oncology services. And to unpack this, I'm joined by Head of Health Rights at Section 27, Kanyisa Mapipa. Good morning. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. It's good to be here. Thank you for having us.
All right. Just explain to us the state of things regarding the lack of cancer machines in Gauteng and how this is affecting cancer patients in the region.
Yes, so the problem with radiation oncology really did start with a shortage in machinery and a shortage in staffing at both Charlotte Maxeke and Steve Biko. Charlotte Maxeke more so than Steve Biko Hospital. These are the 2 primary centers that deal with radiation oncology in the province. And Charlotte Maxeke, as it stands, only has, from our last encounter with the hospital, only has about 2 radiation oncology machines. We are aware that the department was in the process of procuring some more machines for the hospital, but whether this has been done, we simply do not know. What we do know, however, is that the patients are still waiting for these services and are not getting these services in the time that their treatment allows. So, for instance, with an average patient, for example, who has breast cancer, you're required to get the treatment within 3 months of you having surgery of the to remove the tumor. But now these patients are having to wait 2 and 3 years. And in that time, they get the reoccurrences of the cancer time and time again because they're not getting this very fundamental service at the end of their treatment, which will see them not getting the cancer coming back again in at least say 10 years.
But what were the reasons given for these shortages we have for cancer patients? Was any reason given as to why there is shortage?
So not really. So the shortage is a result of issues to do with machines and issues to do with staffing. We know that with the machines, the issues are lack of maintenance of the machines, not replacing the machines in time or ordering new machines in time to replace the machines as they need to be decommissioned. We know that with staffing, the issue has been a lack of competitiveness with the private sector as well, with the other provinces in the country in terms of what is paid to staff. So what we're seeing is that a lot of the staff is moving from Gauteng to other provinces, public sector hospitals in other provinces, because of the difference in the payment of those very individuals. So if on a grander scale, I would say that the issue has been one where the Department of Health in Gauteng has just not focused a lot, or has not done what it needs to do in order to ensure that it keeps the personnel in the province and does not lose them to the private sector or other public sector hospitals in other provinces in the country. And it also hasn't done enough to make sure that the machinery are kept up to date, are kept maintained, are kept replaced when they do need to be decommissioned.
I mean, quite a number of issues you have touched on. You talked about shortage in workforce and also payments to these workforce. How about the patients themselves? Could you share with us the challenges these cancer patients are facing due to lack of resources and also support in Gauteng?
Yeah, so the patients, we've had the pleasure of working with a number of the patients who are on the backlog list. And in fact, this plight was brought to us by them, patients who had been on the backlog list and have suffered reoccurrences. And, some of them are quite brave in order, to speak out against this injustice, to speak out so that they can save their lives. A lot of them, are mothers with children that they're very terrified to leave behind. They have families that they're also very terrified to leave behind. We have one such case with a lady who had breast cancer, and because she had been waiting for over 2 years for her services, her and her husband decided that it would be better off to sell off some of their material possessions and also to get into a loan agreement with their bank so that they could be able to afford treatment in the public sector. The treatment cost about 153,000 Rand, and not everybody who is reliant on public health care can afford that kind of money or even has access to those kind of loan facilities. And yet this is what the government is forcing people to do. They're forcing people to go into loan agreements. They're forcing people to sell off their possessions over equipment, over services that are constitutionally theirs. They're constitutionally guaranteed these services, and yet they cannot receive them, and they have to live in constant fear of leaving their children very young, of dying, and not being able to see their children grow. And so this is the constant anxiety that we see with these patients. This is why they came to us. This is why they've come to get assistance from us. So the situation with the patients is rather dire, and there's been no communication from the Department of Health regarding how this money is going to be used, or whether there is any progress on the procurement of the outsourcing of radiation oncology. Initially, our agreement with the department was that these services would be outsourced to the private sector, and this was designed so that at least the public sector would the pressure on the public sector would decrease somewhat. And
Kanisa, I'm afraid that's the most we can take on the news for this section of the news. Thank you so much for bringing light to this issue, and hopefully things are resolved as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Kanisa Mapipa, Head Health Rights at Section 27. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
In East Africa, the Kenyan government has announced a 1-week delay in school reopening due to ongoing heavy rains and deadly floods ravaging the East African nation. Classes were originally scheduled to resume Monday after midterm break, but torrential downpours have severely impacted many schools. Education Minister Ezekiel Makugo will confirm the 1-week postponement, with classes resuming on Monday, May 6, 2024. Disclosed that the decision allows time for necessary repairs and safety measures to be implemented. Relentless rains worsened by El Nino have caused widespread devastation across Kenya. About 20,000 Georgians have marched through the capital city in a march for Europe. The protest on Sunday comes amid growing tensions over a controversial foreign influence bill that critics say undermines Georgia's aspirations to join the European Union. This mass demonstration follows weeks of anti-government protests sparked by the ruling Georgian Dream Party's attempt to revive the legislation. The bill, which critics liken to a repressive Russian law, requires NGOs and media outlets receiving significant foreign funding to register as foreign agents. Similar legislation was withdrawn in 2023 after facing fierce public opposition. This development underscores the deep divisions within Georgia regarding its future direction. The European Union has previously warned that foreign influence bill could jeopardize Georgia's path to membership.
არ არის უმთავრობას და არ არის უკანონს და ამასთანავე ჩვენი ურთით ჩვენი უფლებებისთვის, თანასწორობისთვის, როგორც ეკონომიკურად უნდა ვიყოთ თანასწორები, ისე ყველანაირი უფლება უნდა გქონდეს ქართველებს და ამიტომ გავართ აქ, რომ ჩვენი უფლებები დავიცვათ.
კვირის განმავლობაში ეს პროცესი არ შეჩერდება. ეს არის ეროვნული მოძრაობა, სადაც პროცესი ბუნებრივად მიმდინარეობს. პრაქტიკულად არ იგეგმება. ხალხი განსხვავებული ერთმანეთისგან ხშირ შემთხვევაში მაინდამაინც დიდი მიმგებლობაც რომ არა აქვს.
Governors of the 36 states in Nigeria have agreed to work together to tackle epileptic power supply in the country. As part of measures to achieve this objective, the governors have agreed to take steps to break the monopoly of discos in power distribution across the state. In March 2023, then President Muhammadu Buhari signed into law the constitutional amendment allowing states in the country to license, generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. And to talk about this in detail, I'm joined by founder, Spark Nigeria, Chinedu Amek. Good morning. Glad to have you join me.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on your show. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right. This is quite an interesting development. Are you surprised by the move from state governors? What outcome do you expect?
Far from it, I'm not surprised by the move from state government. I think it's a laudable initiative. However, I think the process needs to be thought through better. Getting consultants to come in and discuss how you intend to scale your electricity supply is putting the cart before the horse. Who is going to offtake the electricity? If you don't have people to offtake the electricity within your communities and your cities and your towns, there's little that you can really achieve.
But then we've seen some states already, getting approval to regulate electricity within, due to the 5th Alteration Bill number 33, talking about devolution of powers, and that was signed by former President Buhari. Could this be the solution, the silver bullet needed to ensure 24-hour power supply?
Decentralizing regulation is the first step. I think it's a great move. Kudos to the states who have started the process. But when or while you are building or regulating electricity at the state level, you should also think about policies that will attract investments that will offtake that electricity. If you do not have off-takers, if you don't have customers for your electricity, then your efforts will come to naught.
When you say if you do not have off-takers or customers in electricity, what exactly do you mean by that? If you could just expatiate a bit.
When you look at the current debt level that is impacting the industry, the liquidity crisis, it gives you a clear picture that a large chunk of the market are not paying for services. And if they're not paying for those services, there is only little you can achieve no matter how much you regulate.
Let's talk a bit about renewable energy. What role can that play in this electricity supply value chain in Nigeria?
Okay, I think what you may call distributed energy resources, which is essentially clean energy solutions, have a key role to play in upscaling our electricity supply in Nigeria. At state levels, at local government levels, if we seek to improve supply, then one of the fastest means to drive that improvement in supply is through the deployment of clean energy solutions. But you must have a clear strategy on who is offtaking that power. The biggest users of power are service providers and manufacturers. If you don't have that level of business within the states, there is very little value that can be created by driving that investment at a state level.
And that's a fine place to wrap up. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Chinedu Amek, founder, Spark Nigeria. And that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look again at some of the major stories. As fuel scarcity lingers, Ipman hints shortage will persist. Kenyan government postponed school reopening due to floods. South Africa's ex-president Jacob Zuma's MK party expels founder Jabulani Khumalo. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen and follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba.